So on the second one, it says, what's it called? So pretty much.
Me voy a ir ahí a la mesa mejor. Me voy a ir a la mesa.
So,
Con la Biblia también puedes leer los pasajes.
sí, esto lo estoy escribiendo aquí porque lo tengo que ver. So, right there,
Miss Caroline, I can't hear you.
I'm trying to figure out the right, like, how to correctly say it. So in the same form of baptism, it's like becoming a member of Jesus's, or of becoming like a member of his body.
Zule, ¿me puedes ayudar que no puedo escuchar?
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, ma'am, I can hear you. Hi, Miss
Very
Caroline,
good.
how are you?
Did you make it through the storms last week? Okay.
Yes. It's not too bad here in Hendersonville.
Well, we don't usually have it too bad either, but one of the rules that we use when we have group activities, many people, the rule is if the children go home from school early for some reason,
Yes,
then
thank
we
you.
don't have class. So the children went home early. In fact, Lydia and I were in Goodlettsville, and we saw the buses at lunchtime taking the children home. So I told her when we got home, we needed to put it online on the WhatsApp to remind people that we would not have class because the children went home from school.
Oh, okay.
So I wanted to let you all know that.
Yeah.
With the better weather, I imagine that Marty is working later. He may join us in a little bit, but I would not be surprised if he did not join us on time.
Yes.
Our lessons are about weather, and we've been having some very different weather. Do you know what's going to happen tonight? What the weather, severe weather is going to be for tonight?
Oh, no. Yeah, tonight?
Going to have a hard freeze.
Wow.
Meaning
Again?
our temperatures are going to be down in the low 20s tonight.
Oh, wow. I don't know that.
If you have plants that are outside that you just got them and you just put them out recently, you need to cover those.
Okay.
If you have pets, you need to bring your pets in at night when it gets that cold. Your pets, will suffer. So anything else that you can think of when we have a freezing weather like this that you need to be careful about?
Yeah. In the morning.
Think of anything in your house. What do you need to do in your house to prepare for cold weather?
So I need to set up the temperature too for inside the house.
Okay, you might want to set the temperature a little higher. What about your pipes? What about?
Yeah, the water.
Yeah, you either need to let it drip. One of the things I do is open the cabinets so the warm air that's out here in the room can get in the cabinet to help keep it from freezing. Under the sink in your bathroom, under the sink in the bathrooms, you need to be sure and open those cabinet doors. Because sometimes those cabinet doors will keep the warm air from getting in there. A lot of times your pipes are on the outside wall
Mm-hmm.
and they will get colder than it does in the room.
Oh, okay.
So I open my cabinet doors so the warm air will help the pipes keep from freezing.
Mm-hmm.
Also, if this was in the fall, people need to wrap their water pipes. Like if you have a faucet outside,
Mm-hmm.
you need to wrap those pipes to keep that faucet from freezing up.
Mm-hmm.
Because if that freezes up, you'll get a water leak and then your water bill will be great big.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Unhook your water hoses because water will freeze in your water hose and then it'll make it split open and then you have to replace your water hose.
Mm-hmm.
For freezing weather, if we had precip with it, if it was raining and freezing like we did back in February,
Mm-hmm.
I get at the hardware store some salt that's got bigger pieces.
Mm-hmm.
And so when we have that freezing weather with the rain and stuff, then I go out after that stops. If we're leaving the house, then I go out and I sprinkle that on the ice so the ice will melt faster.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So you can walk on it. It's not as slippery. And that's something we ran out of this time. I'll probably have to get some in the fall
Mm-hmm.
if I can remember it. So yeah, but it's supposed to be dry. We're not supposed to get rain tonight.
Oh, for it's really cold.
But it's going to be very, very cold. Very cold. Lydia has to get up at 4:30 in the morning, can be to work by 5:30. And so she'll have to dress very warmly
Mm-hmm.
in the morning to go to work.
Mm-hmm.
It's something that
There'll be a chance if there's any water over the road, there'll be a chance of some ice.
Oh,
Ice on the road. If there's any water, like, you know, where we've had so much rain and the water goes over the road, they're going to have some icy conditions where the water has not been able to drain yet.
Oh, okay.
But we live kind of high up and then back behind our house, it drops into kind of a ravine, kind of a crevice, like it comes up a hill this way, it comes up a hill this way. So the water all runs off our yard really fast. But we've had so much rain, it's wet so deep that when you walk across the yard, it still gets mud all over your shoes because it's just been wet for so long.
Yes, it's raining too much.
Raining too much is right. Okay, so I'm going to get out our devotional. Let's see.
Okay.
Lydia,
Okay.
what did you do with my devotional? Okay, Amalia. If you would, can you read the words underneath the picture?
Okay, my friends, the blood of Jesus give us a way to enter the most holy place, be a new way that leads to life.
Leads. The A with the E makes it E. Leads.
Leads to life. This way take us through the curtain.
Yes.
Curtain that is himself,
Okay, that's Christ.
the
It's a long I sound. Christ himself.
Christ himself. Hebrews 10, 19, 20.
Okay. In the temple before Jesus came, they had a big heavy curtain, and it actually had like, I think it was 7 curtains that were stitched together to make a real thick curtain. And only the priest who had been assigned the job to go into the Holy of Holies once a year, just once a year, they went in the Holy of Holies. And they went in there to pray for people who had sinned, to pray to God to ask forgiveness for that sin. So when Jesus came, and during the week before Easter, a lot of things happened. Actually, tonight, Thursday night, would have been the Last Supper. That's when they would have met in the upper room and had the supper meal. It wouldn't have been until after Jesus was crucified that the temple veil was rent. And that happened, if you remember in the story, when he's on the cross, that the sky turned all dark, and he said, my God, why hast thou forsaken me? And when he said that, the temple veil rent. It was torn from the top to the bottom, which means a man did not do it. It had to be God that tore it. And the other thing is, there wasn't a man alive strong enough to take 7 curtains and tear them all at the same time and break that curtain open like it was, except for God. It means that instead of only the priest going into the Holy of Holies, for the first time, each of us is responsible to go to Jesus and to pray to him, to confess our sins to him. And he goes to the Father like a lawyer does. He goes to the judge. Well, Jesus goes to his Father, and he prays for us to the Father to ask. And when God looks on Jesus, who is his son, all he sees is love, because that's his son. So any of us can go directly to the Father and pray. We can go through Jesus. So it was his blood, it was the shedding of his blood, his death, that caused that curtain to be, a curtain like you put on your window?
Yes.
Okay, this was a curtain in a doorway. But it was a very heavy curtain.
Yeah, looks so heavy. And big.
This way takes us through the curtain that is actually Jesus himself. Jesus died, his flesh was torn, and the curtain was torn. And when I first started hearing the story about the curtain, it would give me goosebumps to think that for the first time, people themselves could go and ask God's forgiveness for what they'd done. They didn't have to go through a priest. And it still does. The whole idea that God reached down and he tore the curtain from the top to the bottom. God is very active in our lives every day. He takes care of us. He provides for us in lots and lots of ways. Do you have any questions about what happened here? Do you understand the temple veil?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes.
Let's go back to class. Stop the share. Gotta find my arrow. Okay, let's go to, by the way, I prayed for you and your family, and I prayed for Marty and his family.
Thank you so much.
And while we were off for spring break, Marianne got a hold of me, and I had a class or two with her. She's saying that she cannot meet at this hour. And I explained to her we could not move this class because I had students who worked, and that
Oh,
we could not move the class. We had to keep it, you know, at a time that my working students could keep the class. I think she may try to get in the classes in the fall. By the way, I've heard that next year they're going to have the classes in classrooms at the church, but there will be no childcare.
oh, okay.
And I think they're going to try to have them, well, we had some in the evening before. They'll have them in the classroom during the day and then in the evening, I imagine. So I don't think we'll have Zoom next year unless something drastic changes in the summer, like, you know, if the schools are not open and all that sort of thing, then I imagine they might have Zoom, but I don't know that we will have
So
the classes next year.
so the class, this class is isn't it the same to the schools on May 20 something?
I think we'll end earlier than that. We'll probably end somewhere around Mother's Day. I think it's either the first or second week of May.
Okay.
I'll have to look on the calendar and see, and I'll let you know next week.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm hoping we can finish this about the weather and do the next lesson. I'm hoping we can finish these two lessons before the end of the year.
Okay. Okay.
I think the next set, let me look at chapter 10. Yeah, around town. And this is directions and things again, giving locations of places in the community, talking about different kinds of transportation, traffic signs, reading a bus sign or schedule, ask about bus routes and cost, writing a direction to your house. So that's what our next lesson, and those are always hard lessons. Those lessons on giving directions are always, they're difficult for people who use English regularly. It's just difficult to give directions. I'm on page 172.
Okay.
It says planning for an emergency.
Okay.
Okay, talking about weather conditions. I need you to figure out which of these words go with these pictures. Which words for bad weather and emergencies do you know? Write the correct word from the box underneath each picture. So what do you think number one is?
The number one is ready in here. They heat wave.
Yes, the heat wave. Have you ever noticed how a highway, pavement, asphalt, when it gets real hot, it will look like glass. It will look like the people ahead of you are driving on glass, or that there's water there, but when you get there, there's no water. That's what people call a mirage. It makes you think that there's water up there, but when you get there, then you realize that there isn't any. People out on the desert will have a mirage, and they'll go running after water if they're real thirsty. And they keep doing that until they die of a heat stroke because they never reached water.
Mm-hmm.
It's a mirage. It makes you think there's water up there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, number 2. What is that one?
Hurricane.
Yes, a hurricane. And it's spelled there for you, so you won't. You'll be able to spell that without any trouble.
Mm-hmm.
Number 3.
Tornado.
And they had a lot of tornadoes, wasn't it, last week down in Alabama and the lower part of Tennessee?
Uh-huh.
And there were a number of people killed in those tornadoes.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember how many, but I know there was several.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's a wildfire. They have a lot of those in California.
Mm-hmm.
But we had one over close to Knoxville.
And
back-
Gallenberg.
Huh?
And Gallenberg.
Not this year. It was back in the past. I can't remember what year it was. It was Gatlinburg. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, you said it. Gatlinburg. Okay, number 5.
Is thunderstorm.
A thunderstorm. In a thunderstorm, usually we also see lightning, but we can also have something else here in Tennessee. Other places may not have this, but we do in Tennessee. What else can come with a thunderstorm? Especially this time of year. There's something else. What is it? There's pieces of ice come out of the sky, and we call that what?
It's
Call that?
no, I know in Spanish, but I don't know in English.
Okay, it's hail. H-A-I-L. Hail. With a thunderstorm, you can have hail in Tennessee. Now, they don't have it every place, but we do, especially in the spring. In Louisiana, we would have hail sometimes. Okay, and number 6 is?
Flood.
It's a flood. A flood.
Flood. Flood. Flood.
It's more of an sound. Flood. Flood.
Flood.
Okay, what's number 7?
A snowstorm.
Yes, a snowstorm. And you can get a lot of ice with that sometimes too. That's what we had back in February, was a snowstorm, but it also had ice.
Mm-hmm.
We had a lot of hail with that, and we also had just freezing rain. The rain would fall and get on the trees and things, and then it would freeze there, and then the limbs or the tree itself would break and fall down. And the last one
is her and
okay, divide it in half. Take the first 5 letters, cover up the last part. It's a compound word.
Heart.
It's a earth.
Heart. Wake.
An earthquake. Now,
Earthquake.
sometimes we'll get a little bit of moving of the house where that your pictures will rattle on the walls. I'm more sensitive to it than other people are because I lived on the West Coast. I lived in Oregon a long time. And so I'm used to feeling earthquakes. We don't have a lot of them here big enough that we can feel them just sitting in the kitchen. Now, sometimes when I go to bed at night, I'll be laying in the bed about to drift off, and I'll feel a little one. And I think it's because the springs inside of the mattress start to wiggle a little bit, and I can feel they're tiny. But because I've been in earthquakes before,
Mhm.
I can feel even just the slightest bit of moving. Have you ever been in a tornado?
No.
I have.
Yeah.
Indiana.
Oh wow, scared.
It is scary. It's very scary. We had been in bed asleep. It came in the night, and it came with a thunderstorm. And actually, it was the thunderstorm and the wind. It had been so hot that day. It happened in May. It had been so warm that day that we'd had the windows up.
Mhm.
And the wind blew a real lightweight curtain, one of those see-through curtains that I had in my bedroom. It blew it clear across the bed, across my face, and woke me up.
Wow.
And so I got up and I could hear it coming down the street, down the road.
Oh.
And it was twisting off the telephone poles, the electric lines, and it was coming down. And my mother was living with me, and I had a baby at the time. My son was small. He was in his crib. And I got up and I walked into the hallway and I said, "Mother, are you awake? I think we're fixing to have a tornado. So you need to get in the hallway."
Mhm.
And I grabbed the baby out of the crib and we all went to the hallway so we would be away from windows,
Mhm.
because the wind can actually knock the windows right out of
Mhm.
the hole in the wall. It can knock the whole window out, or it can break the glass and
Mhm.
it falls in on you, and you don't want the flying glass.
Mhm.
Also, the walls are closer together in a hallway. But with the rain and the wind, I went to see, we had neighbors that were in a mobile home next door to us. And I went and opened the family room door to look out through the carport to see if I could, and I couldn't even see their house because of the wind and all the debris that was in the air and the rain. But I heard them start up a vehicle and they left. And the next day we went out and that wind had torn their trailer apart. It opened it on the front side and it laid it out like this.
Wow.
And then all the walls inside, it took and stacked them down at the end of the trailer. It was very strange, very strange.
Wow.
A tornado is very, very dangerous.
So for your house, have a damage?
The roof,
Okay.
I had half of the roof, the shingles and stuff tore off, and the tar paper that goes underneath, and they didn't have to replace the wood that was under the shingles. I had a shed, the wind picked it up. It was sitting on cinder blocks. It was propped up off the ground,
Mhm.
and the wind took it and twisted it 3/4 of the way around and set it back down. So the door had been right in front of the house. When it set it down, the door was over on the side.
Wow.
It had picked the whole shed up and twisted it and then set it back down. The lady next door, her husband had gotten paid and she had gone and gotten his check cashed. She had the money in her purse, and that storm took the purse and it blew it up into the top of a big tall pine tree. But even one of the fellows got up there, the whole purse was empty. The purse was up there, but there was nothing in it.
Wow.
tornadoes are very strange. They do very strange things.
Mm-hmm.
The house that was on the other side of us, it didn't do anything to their house at all.
Mm-hmm.
It disturbed a shed, but it didn't do anything to their house. It was sitting back a little further off the road than ours was.
Mm-hmm.
But it got a hold of a tree and leaned it over on one of those, you know, the fences that they have at a lot of schools. We call them cyclone fences,
Mm-hmm.
chain link fences. Well, it put that tree, it just leaned it over, bent that metal rod that goes down through the top. It bent that down. And so the mulberry tree had to be cut down because it was shattered.
Mm-hmm.
But yes, it was quite an experience.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember I have in in Mexico when I little, maybe I have 8 years old, and a big gas explosion, and it's too close to my house. So I think it's 6 in the morning, and my family and the community need to come out and live in the house because the fire is spread for everywhere. And I remember I can see because it's like a big poles, the gas. It's like a big place for with the trailers come pick up gas and everything. I don't know how it's in English, for it's a big place with the
Trailer
big,
park,
yes, yeah.
a
And
trailer park where they had a bunch of trailers in there.
and come for pick up gas and go to the other communities.
Mhm.
So it's a line the gas down the whole
A
area and
gas
everything.
pipeline, a gas pipeline.
And I remember, so I just put something like I have pajamas, and I just have time for put the shoes, and I need go with my parents for the street and go the so far came because the explosion is like big. And I
Mhm.
remember I can see the sky really red and everything, so really scared. Yeah.
When I first got married, the neighbors, I told you about the neighbors on one side of my house in the tornado. Well, on the other side of my house, there was an older couple, and they had 3 boys that were grown and 1 little girl that was still in school, and their house caught on fire.
Mm-hmm.
And here's what I have learned. Some of these things, like a hurricane or the heat wave or the wildfire, some of them are worse than others. And a fire is so bad because it just destroys everything. You can't salvage anything. And so from the tornado, that lady that lived on the other side of me, when she had the tornado, and we went through the walls of the house, we would pick up a wall, and there would be stuff from the bathroom, like towels and washcloths and sheets and things that had been stored to go on the beds.
Mm-hmm.
Pick up a wall, and there'd be the children's room, and we would find in there, not everything, but we would find children's clothes and shoes and socks and toys, and not everything was there. Some things blew away, but she had 55 loads of clothes and household towels and sheets and things to wash up that day. So she didn't lose everything.
Wow.
We found pots and pans. We found some dishes that didn't get broken. There were little bits and pieces. Now, the family on the other side that had the fire, there was nothing. Even though people ran in the house and tried to get things out of the house. If they laid them down in the grass in the yard, the fire caught the yard on fire and burned up everything they'd taken out of the house.
Wow.
So a fire is much more destructive than a tornado, but both are bad, you know,
Yeah.
and especially the tornado or the fire, you can lose life. You can lose part of your family.
Yes, it's true.
Snowstorms can be bad up in Canada, and it is against the law in Canada. If you see someone walking on the side of the road, like they got broke down or something, it's against the law not to pick them up because they can freeze to death. And then you're accused of murder if you don't pick them up.
Yeah.
So different storms can be very, very dangerous. Let's look about the do's and don'ts. There's a purple and yellow box right down here that has some things that we need to read and then answer do or don't.
Okay.
Do we do those things or do we not do those things? So do you want to read the first one?
Yes. So do go downstairs in a tornado.
Right. Go downstairs, seek the lowest level of your house. Number 2, should you go under a piece of furniture like a desk in an earthquake?
So
That would be don't do that.
don't do that.
Why would we not do that?
Because maybe can follow the house, follow on time the things, and you can cover it in.
Well, the other thing is, if you get under a desk and it's a big heavy desk, the desk can injure you because it's shaking, it's moving. You don't want to be under something that's moving. Do number 3.
Do stay in your house in a flood?
Yes, unless the water's coming up in the house and then you need to get up on the
roof of the
roof, the roof, so that the rescuers can find you. Number 4.
Do cover your windows before a hurricane?
Yes, a lot of people keep, especially like in Florida and Texas, they keep big pieces of plywood that just fit over their windows so that they can be ready just to go out and tack them up when they get word they're going to have hurricane. Number 5, don't go swimming in a thunderstorm. Why should we not go swimming in a thunderstorm?
For the light
the electricity from the lightning will travel right through the water. So more importantly, most of us are not going to go swimming in a thunderstorm. But what about washing dishes? Do not wash dishes in a thunderstorm.
Oh, okay.
How about taking a shower?
Some people say no shower.
No, it's the same thing, and especially if you were to touch the fixtures, like the knobs, if they're metal, or the like the shower head, if it's metal, plus the water,
No, no good idea.
you'll get it.
Let's say the laundry too. No use the laundry.
I would not use the laundry because the outside shell of the washing machine and the dryer are metal,
Uh-huh.
and that will conduct electricity. And if the house is struck, the lines, the water lines would carry the electric and the electricity, where you plug them in, that electricity will come right out that outlet into your washer and dryer, and it will get you. Yeah. You need to stay away from appliances. Unplug. It's a good idea to unplug your laptop. And if there is a lot of electricity in your area, it's a good idea to unplug your TVs, all your electric appliances. That electricity can come right in through those wires, and it will make your TV explode into the living room.
What is
Okay, go ahead with number 6.
Do drink a lot water in the heat wave.
Yes. Number 7, don't go outside in a snowstorm. I had gotten caught in a snowstorm one time. We had gone to one of my church meetings after school, and my dad picked us up, and my mother and I were trying to follow my dad. We had to get out of the truck because there was so much snow that it was coming right up the front of the truck onto the windshield. And so we got out and started trying to walk to our house. And my dad was plowing through the snow walking, and I was taller, so I came next. And then my mother is a little short lady, and she could not keep up with me. And I tried to holler at my dad, but the wind was so loud, he couldn't hear me. When I got home, back in those days, we wore skirts and nylons and boots and everything, and we had on good warm jackets and hoods and everything, but I went to take my nylon stockings off, and they just came off in little strips. I just peeled them off my legs because in little pieces, little strings, because they were frozen to my legs.
Wow.
Okay, take number 8.
Do leave your house when a wildfire is near.
Yes. Sometimes you can get cut off from the road or the path out and away, and it's better if you know that it's close. My brother had to go get his daughter, and they had a bunch of goats. So he took his truck, and they went, and the fire was less than a mile from their house and their barns and everything. And he had to load them all up and take them someplace else because the fire had gotten close. This was in Oregon. Okay, make a plan for an emergency. You know why the children at school have fire drills? Why do they have a fire drill?
So learning for any emergency has in the school, something happened, and the school teach about the fire and about the tornadoes, and yeah.
Okay, it's so that they can get the children if they need to get out of the building, or if they need to go to a special place in the building. But a fire drill is to get out of the building. So if you practice your plan with your family, when an emergency really happens, everybody knows what they need to do and where they need to go and where they need to meet. So let's look at the Garcia family's emergency plan. What information is important to include in an emergency plan? So let's look at the emergency plan. You start reading there where it says places to meet.
Places to meet. Okay, say number 1.
Yes.
Outside or apartments building.
Okay, but I think you need to have a specific place, not just outside the building, but is there a lamp post, or is there a fence, or is there a tree or something? A what?
I say a more specific place.
A more specific place, yes. In an apartment building, there's going to be a lot of people. If you're in a single dwelling house, you just have your family there. So you all need to agree on a place outside the house to go and meet. That way, if someone's not at home when the fire happens, they'll know where to look for the family if they got out. Okay. Number 2, besides outside the apartment building, they then put something else in there. What was it?
Say main post office.
Right.
2209.
2209.
2209 7th Street.
Yes. Apparently that post office is not too far from their house. And like I said, maybe the daddy works at night. And so it's agreed that they would meet in front of the post office. That way, if daddy comes home and there's been a fire, he knows if he doesn't see him at the house to go look at the post office. Okay. And next is emergency phone numbers.
Yeah, say Carla, work 510-555-8317. Cell phone?
Yes.
555-1194. So Luis, work 510-555-7835. Cell phone 510-555-7834. Maria, school 510-555-4965. Uncle Alex 312-555-0552.
Okay, now the explanation why to have someone with a different area code. Let's read the little yellow box right there beside it. In an emergency, you can't always call someone in your area code because your lines are down. If it's a tornado, if it's a hurricane, if it's a wildfire, you're not going to be able to get somebody probably. You may not even be able to use your cell phone. But when you can get to a landline that works, you need somebody outside that area code that you can get in touch with. And if everybody gets in touch with that person, you can find out if all of you are still alive. So that's what they're trying to say. Include a long distance number. Now, what's another reason why these things need to be written down? What happens to us when we get in a crisis situation? We think clearly. Numbers that we thought we had memorized.
No, maybe.
Bring those up. What if you got out of the house but didn't have your cell phone, even though you've got all these phone numbers stored? You need to have some of this information separate, not in the house. Maybe in your vehicle, if your vehicle is not parked real close to the house where that, say there's a fire, then you would still have access to some of those things. Okay, so do you understand why it would be wise to use a long distance number?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Make your own emergency plan for your family. Write the emergency plan in your notebook. So I'll check on that the next time we meet to see if you've made an emergency plan. It would be good to talk it over with your children, just like they do at school in case of an emergency. Where are we going to meet? What are the phone numbers we need to have? Is there some place we can keep some information and maybe some things to help us get through the emergency? And that under practice, number 4, down here, things you might need in an emergency. Okay, let's see what we need for an emergency.
Hey, Mom. You have to, did you need me to help you read something?
Yes, and we're just going over these emergency things. And then, yes, I'm going to have this dialogue in just a few minutes.
Okay, so I was gonna take a shower.
Okay, can you wait just a few minutes?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Amalia,
Yes,
what
ma'am.
is number 1?
It's water.
Good, yes. And sometimes it's best to have that in some pretty large jugs, because if you have no electricity or if you have no water, you may need to use it to help flush the toilet. You're going to need some water to wash hands, to wash faces before you eat. So you're going to need more than just enough water to drink. Number 2.
It's a radio.
Yes, a radio and batteries. That's the number 3. And batteries for the radio. You never know how long you're going to be without services, electric services.
Okay.
Number 4.
Medicine.
Medicines. There again, you don't know how long you're going to be without services. So it's always a good idea to have an emergency supply of medicines stored somewhere other than inside the house, or put it in an emergency bag that's ready to go right out the door with you. What is number 5?
It's a first ID kit.
It's an aid. First aid kit.
Aid kit.
Okay, and number 6 is matches. And if you have matches, then you need candles, which is number 7. What is number 8?
A flashlight.
A flashlight. We find at our house that we can find the candles and matches quicker than we can find the flashlight. Somehow, while Lydia was growing up, she very often loved to play with our flashlights. Or my husband would take them out to use them working on one of the vehicles at night or something, forget to bring them back in the house. So yes, you need some way that you can see. If the electricity goes off, you need to be able to see to get around in the house.
Mhm.
Writing assignment. Make a list in your notebook of things you have for an emergency.
Uh-huh.
So I need you to write an emergency plan.
Uh-huh.
I need you to make a list in your notebook of the things that you have for an emergency.
Uh-huh.
Now in Canada, we always had to include a warm blanket for each person in an emergency plan, because more than 6 months of the year, they have below freezing temperatures. So you must always have plenty of good, warm bedding or clothing to wrap up in. Lydia, I'm ready for you. Look at the picture and read. Where are these people and what are they doing? Can you answer that, Amalia?
Okay. Let me see. It's isn't the people is in the living room?
Yes, they're in the living room. And what does the wife say?
Turn it on the TV, and I want to check the weather.
Right. It's always a good idea to check the weather reports to find out what's happening. Do you watch the weather report on TV?
Yes.
What channel do you watch?
Channel 5.
Some people like 5, some like 4. I've started watching channel 2.
Oh yeah.
I used to watch 4 all the time, but I've changed to 2 and 5 now. Okay, number 2, I need you to listen. Lydia and I are going to read a dialogue. It
Okay.
says, look at this picture of Dan Reed. Where is he and what is he buying? What is Dan Reed buying?
I think it's water.
Yes, water. Okay, Lydia,
You want to be Dan or?
I will. Are you watching the news?
No, I'm not. I'm reading a magazine.
Well, turn on the TV. A big storm is coming.
Really?
Yes, in fact, I'm coming home early. I am at the supermarket now. Okay. Was your guess in exercise A correct? He was getting what?
Okay.
What is Emily doing? Is she watching TV? Is she shopping or is she reading a magazine?
She's shopping.
I think she was the one reading the magazine. I was Dan. Dan was reading a magazine.
Okay.
No, wait a minute. You're right. Emily is the one reading the magazine. So what is Emily doing? She was reading the magazine.
Okay.
Okay. Why is Dan coming home early?
Let me see. The oh my God. I lost Miss Caroline, sorry.
A big storm is coming.
Okay.
A big storm is coming. That's why he's going home early. going home to see about his family. Now, Lydia and I are going to read the whole conversation, and we're going to have to answer 3 questions. Dan apparently is going to tell us what he's buying. Emily says to get something else. Emily says we need what? Lydia, can you come help me with our discussion? Are you watching the news?
No, I'm not. I'm reading a magazine.
Well, turn on the TV. A big storm is coming.
Really?
Yes, in fact, I'm coming home early and I'm at the supermarket now.
Oh, good. Are you getting water?
Yes, I'm getting water, food, and a lot of batteries.
Great. Get matches too.
Okay, do we need anything else?
Yes, we need good weather too.
Okay, so Amalia,
Yes, ma'am.
what things did you check about Dan was buying something?
So water, food, and batteries.
Good. Emily says, get matches too. So apparently they were low on matches. I have one of those little fire starter things that you use for the barbecue pit.
Uh-huh.
And I use that instead of matches.
Can I go to the shower?
I think so. Emily says we need what?
Good water.
Good weather. Okay, let's look at number 3, the conversation. Okay, it's a pink box, so you're going to need to check one of the pink things in the conversation. Are you watching the news?
Okay. Okay.
Now, you say B.
No, I'm making lunch.
Okay. Well, turn on the TV. A blank is coming. So I'm going to tell you a thunderstorm is coming.
Okay.
You say
Okay.
really.
Really?
Yes, in fact, I'm coming home early. I am at the drugstore now.
Okay.
So at the drugstore, I could pick up batteries. I could get water.
Mm-hmm.
I could pick up medications if we forgot to pick up the medications.
Mm-hmm.
Drugstore can sometimes be a good place to stop. They'll have snack foods, but they won't have, and some drugstores, Walgreens and some have a few foods, but mostly at the drugstore, you'd be picking up just essentials. Okay, let's take a look at the grammar. I want you to read the box on page 176. It has purple at the top and yellow down here. So read the grammar on page 176, please.
Okay. So present, continuous, yes, no, question, and short answers. Are you watching the news? Are they watching the news? Are you watching the news? Are he watching the news? Is he, no, sorry. Yeah. No, I'm sorry. The first for R is only the first 3, you, they, and you.
Mm-hmm.
And for is he watching the news? Is she watching the news? Is Emily watching the news? Is it raining? In the first box. And the next one is, yes, I am. Yes, they are. Yes, we are. Yes, he is. Yes, she is. Yes, it is. And for no, no, I'm not. No, they're not, or they aren't. No, we're not, or we aren't. It's like no, he's not, or he isn't. No, she's not, or she isn't. It's a contraction, right?
Right.
No, it's not, or it is. Isn't.
Okay. It's present, but it's continuous action. So it's, are you watching the news? Are you doing it now? And are you going to continue to do it? So it's not just right this minute, are you watching the news? It's asking, are you going to watch the program to the end? Are you watching to get all the information? So that's why it says present continuous. Yes and no questions and short answers. Okay, under Grammar Watch, for the word shop or shopping, because we're talking about shopping for things we need for emergencies, and it wants to bring up the spelling rules, because if you have shop, it's S-H-O-P, but you double the P when you add ing. So if you're shopping, then you S-H-O-P-P-I-N-G. And the spelling rules are on page 274 if you want to check spelling for other words, how you would handle changing the tense. Like today I shop, I will be shopping. So let's look at the picture, and we're going to be making some short sentences like the ones we just read about. Are Lena and Darren working? And so how would you answer that, Amalia? I think it's written there for you.
Yeah, it's already saying no, they are not.
Okay, they're not. So you know how to spell that, and you know where it came from up here in the top section over to the right where it says no, they're not.
No, they're not.
Okay, is it raining?
No, they're not.
No, it's not.
Oh, no,
so
it's
IT apostrophe S, not. No, it's not. Is Lena wearing a t-shirt?
let me see. Yeah. Yes.
Okay, it would
No,
be in that first column, it would be yes, she is.
yes, she is.
Yes, she is.
Yes.
Okay, so have you had time to answer number 2 and number 3?
Number 2 is it's raining. I put no, it's not.
Right. I
And
just meant, did you have time to write it down? Because I was moving a little fast and I thought maybe I needed to slow up.
No, it's fine. I got it.
Okay, number 4. Are they shopping for food?
No, no, they not.
Right. No, they're not. Is Darren talking to a man?
Yes, he is.
Good. Is Lena looking at Darren?
No, no, she's not.
What's she got her eye on?
She looking I think it's a necklace.
She's looking at a necklace that she wants to perhaps make a purchase. Okay, we're going to continue that with yes and no questions. Use the words in parentheses and use capital letters and question marks. So we're going to write the yes and no questions now.
Okay.
So number 1, the question was, it's already done there for you.
Yeah. Arlena and Daron shopping.
Right, that's what you needed to write. So number 2 is, are they eating?
So I need to make an answer again?
No, I
No.
just the answer.
Oh, yes, say yes or no.
Are they eating is the answer. You don't have any other students tonight, so I'm doing trying to do about half of the questions so you can see how to use the words. Number 3.
Lena, where?
Okay, you need to make it a question, so you have to invert the order. You need to put your verb first.
Is Lena wear a skirt?
Yes.
Is
Lena wearing a skirt?
wear a skirt?
I think she is wearing a skirt. But we don't have to answer that. I just wanted to see.
Make a question. So is Darren wear a jacket?
Is Darren wearing a jacket? Correct. Is he listening to music? I don't know. I didn't look to see if he had anything in his ears. I don't see anything in his ear. Number 6, you can do number 6.
Is they buy a CD?
Okay, we need to correct the form of your verb.
Okay, let me see.
Instead of is they, we need to say what?
Are they?
Are they?
They buy
Buying CD?
CD?
Are they?
Are they? Yeah, because it's 2 people, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, now for part B, you're supposed to go back and answer these questions that we just did. You're supposed to look at the picture and come and answer that. And I'm going to let you do that on your own. You can look at the picture and write the answers to those questions we just made. Okay. You have the day off from work and school. Where do you go? Well, during the spring break that Lydia had, Lydia and I went to Chattanooga. And we went to the aquarium down there. And we went to the Hunter Museum of Art. And we went to a park where they had some sculpture in the park. So we did several things while we were in Chattanooga. If you had the day off from work and school, is there someplace you would want to go?
I never go to the zoo and here in Nashville, so I like to go with them.
You've never been to the zoo?
Not here in Nashville, so I go before and I have fun. Here in Nashville, I never go.
We haven't been in a very long time, and they have gotten some new animals, and my daughter has told me emphatically that she would like to go over to the zoo to see some of the new animals. And I have told her that I have promised quilts to people by graduation in May. And so I'm going to have to keep busy at the sewing machine if I'm to get done. But maybe after we get through with that, we could go to the zoo. but she has wanted to go to the zoo.
So she is graduate this year?
She graduated last year. She's doing her first year at college at Vol State.
Oh, she got to the Ball State?
Yeah, up at Gallatin.
Oh yeah, probably my daughter is the next year is the last year, and she wanna start over there. I think she take the 2 years over there, the first 2 years.
Okay. If it's raining and you're at home, what do you like to do at home if it's raining?
Watch movies.
I figured you would say that. I know how busy your schedule is.
Mm-hmm.
I had, when I was working out in the public and had children at home, there were certain days that if I had the day off, there were certain jobs that I would do. And one of the things that I did for New Year's was to clean out my oven. I did not have one of those stoves that automatically would clean the oven. And so I had to spray all that stuff and wait and clean it and all that. So every New Year's, I had a plan to clean my oven. Yes, I know. We mamas who work have to use our days off to get things done in the house.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's go over to page 178. Look at the cartoons and answer these questions. Where are the people in each cartoon and what are they doing? So that first picture, A.
Okay, looks is in the park.
Okay, perhaps in the park.
And it's talking.
And it looks like they're visiting.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, in B, where are they?
It's looks
It looks like maybe a bakery. Or maybe a deli. Hello, over there looks like he has a knife that he's getting ready to peel an apple or something. So it might be a deli or it might be a bakery. And what are they doing?
Watching the sports.
Yeah. And they're talking with each other. What's happening in C?
I think waiting for the bus.
Waiting for a bus. And what are they doing?
Have a conversation, I think.
Yes.
The bus.
In the United States, we call this small talk or chit chat. It's not anything serious, but it's a way of engaging each other. It usually is strangers. Now, there are some things that are good to talk about and some things that are not good to talk about. So in A, one lady says to the other lady, "What a beautiful day." And the other lady says, "It sure is, but I hear it's going to rain." So one of the things that we can talk about, chit chat, small talk, is what?
Weather.
Weather. Okay, now then, in the next picture, the fellow's at the bakery or the deli. He says, "The Lakers are winning again. Yay, go Lakers." So what is something else that we can talk about? Small talk or chit chat?
About
Sports. Sports is something you can chit chat about. You read the dialogue and see. Tell me what you think.
okay, say the bus is always late. I know. Live in Riverside, the buses there are always late too.
Okay. So talking about the schedule, you know, indeed. Two ladies are shopping. What are they talking about?
Okay, this is a great sale. I know, come to this sale every year. I love it.
Okay.
Talking about the prices, the clothes.
Yeah. In E, those potatoes look delicious. Everything looks delicious. Look at those cookies. So talking about the food they're getting ready to eat, that's something that's you can talk to anybody about. Okay, I'm going to read this article on page 179. And you can listen. You're probably going to have to answer some questions about it. One of them is going to be, what is the main idea? So listen carefully. Small talk is big. I'm on page 179, so you can read along with me. We tell children, don't talk to strangers, but we do it all the time. We talk to strangers at the supermarket, at the bus stop, at the coffee shop. We make small talk every day. What do we talk about? Only a few topics are okay. The weather is a good topic. Everyone talks about the weather. We say, what a nice day, or it's so hot. Some other good topics for small talk are sports, food, transportation, and shopping. We don't talk about personal things. In the United States, we don't make small talk about money. We don't make small talk about love or health problems. Answer a person's small talk in a friendly way. Smile and say something more about the topic. For example, when someone says, this is such great weather, you can say, I know, it's so beautiful out. I love the spring. In the US, small talk is a big part of our culture. We think it's a way to be friendly. Do you have rules for small talk in Mexico?
Yeah, I think something's the same. Like when you're waiting for and when you go to the doctor and just say like, this office always is quick service, or some people say, okay, in this place I wait long time, or some things like that.
Well, like if you're in the doctor's office to see the doctor, you could talk about the magazines. You know, have you seen such and such magazine? You know, I was looking for that particular magazine. Or the weather. Did you have lunch?
Yes.
Those kinds of things. So read the article again. And so what is the main idea? A, the weather is a good topic for small talk. B, we make small talk with strangers, but only a few topics are okay. So what is the main idea?
Number B.
Okay.
The B, that we make a small talk with the strangers, By only few topics are okay.
Is it okay to ask a woman how old she is?
Too many people say no.
Not in the United States.
No.
Most women do not like to divulge their age.
Yeah.
How much money they make? We don't talk about that to strangers. Your address, we don't talk about where, your exact, you might say, well, I live at Hendersonville.
But you not say this.
I tell them I live out in the country, in between Ridgetop and Jolton, because I live way out in the country.
Puedes tomar poquito. Puedes tomar.
Okay, so read these sentences. Are they okay for small talk? Write okay or not okay next to each one. Number 1, look at all this rain. Is that okay or not okay?
It is okay.
Okay, it's okay.
Okay.
The food looks so good.
Yeah, okay.
That's okay. You read number 3.
What's your address? No, or no, okay.
Not okay. Number 4. Are you married?
No.
Number 5. How much money do you make?
No. Number 6. Great game last night, right? Yeah, it's okay. Number 7. Oh no, the bus is late again. It's okay.
Yes.
And I have a problem with my food. No, I don't think. Maybe depend when the people you're talking.
Well, and if you were getting on a bus and you wanted somebody to hold something for you while you help pull yourself up, I would say, I'm having trouble with my foot. Would you hold these things for me till I get on the bus, and then I'll take them from you? If it has to do with how you have to get on the bus and you're needing some help, then you have to share that. But not ordinarily. You wouldn't just, people don't like to hear about your aches and pains. A lot of times people will ask you, how are you doing? Or how are you feeling? And I'll just say fair to middling. I just stop that right there because people just love to tell their aches and pains. And I don't want to hear it. I have enough of my own. Okay, let's take a look on page 180.
Okay.
Understand a weather report.
Okay.
Do you know these words? Label these pictures. Use the words in the box. So number 1 is what?
He already say like clothes.
Lightweight clothes. That would be for what?
For summer maybe.
Summer or spring, warm spring days. Number 2, do you know what that is?
Is the shorts?
It's shorts. Number 3 is a bottle of water.
Mhm.
Number 4.
A hat.
Yeah, in this area part of the country, they call it a lot of times a baseball cap. But yeah, what they listed it here is a hat. But don't you usually hear people say it's a baseball cap?
Yeah.
Number 5.
Sunblock.
Yes. You probably don't use that very much. I have to. Lydia doesn't use it very much. She may use it a few times when she first has to get out by the pool and she has to be out there for 4 or 5 hours in the early part of the summer. But then along the way, she kind of gets lazy and doesn't use it because her skin, she doesn't get burned like I do. But people with fair skin like me, I have to use sunblock. It's always a good idea to use it on your young children because their skin is so tender. They're not accustomed to. Okay, and of course, number 6 is sunglasses. What is number 7?
It's a raincoat.
Raincoat. Number 8, can you say that?
Umbrella.
Umbrella, good. Number 9 is boots. What is 10?
It's gloves.
Gloves. 11 is a scarf. And do you know what number 12 is?
It's ear muffs.
Muffs. Ear muffs. Helps keep the cold out of your ears, especially if you have real short hair or pull your hair back. Keeps the cold air out, keeps you from getting an earache. In really, really cold places where they have a lot of ice and snow, ear muffs are to keep, because you don't have, they're very thin. They don't have a lot of blood circulating. It freezes up real easy because there's no large. And your ears can freeze, and then they have to amputate the outside of your ears if you're not careful in really, really cold places. Okay. Weather report. Let me look and see if I have something back here that is the weather report. Lydia, would you mind reading the weather report if I find it? Yes, 181. I need you to read this for me. I'm losing my voice. Losing my voice.
Which
181. Lydia's going to read the weather report for us.
Good morning. This is the weather watch on Greenville News Radio. Here's the weather report for cities across the country. It's cloudy and very hot in Los Angeles. The temperature is already 90 degrees. Wear light clothes and drink lots of water if you go outside. It's a beautiful day in Atlanta. It's warm and very sunny now with a temperature of 75 degrees. So go outside, take your sunglasses, and enjoy the nice weather. It's raining in New York City and the temperature is 62 degrees. Take your umbrella if you go out. It's very windy in Chicago. The temperature is only 38 degrees. So don't forget your scarf and gloves. It's pretty cold out there.
What clothes and accessories and supplies do you hear? Put a check mark on the pictures on page 180 that were in the weather report. So we know that the light clothes were mentioned for
For the light close for Los Angeles.
Los Angeles.
Mhm.
So you need to make a check mark where the light clothes are.
Uh-huh.
Now, something else, two things in the next line were mentioned in the report. What was
Sunglasses.
sunglasses for Atlanta,
Uh-huh.
and what else in that row? What was it doing in New York City?
The New York's raining.
It was raining, so they need
The umbrella.
an umbrella.
And maybe
And in the
a
last
raincoat.
row, there are two things that are mentioned for Chicago.
For Chicago is gloves and a
38
scarf maybe.
degrees. So it said, don't forget what?
Say maybe gloves and a scarf.
Gloves and a scarf. Very good. Well, I don't know where that, it says, look at the picture. I'm looking at conversation. Says, look at the picture. Marta is ready to go outside. How is the weather where Marta is? What's the weather like? How is she dressed?
The cold weather.
Cold weather. Okay, we're going to have to read the conversation down here in C because I don't have it in the back. I've already looked. And this is the only conversation I see. It says, listen to the conversation. Marta is talking to her husband, Joel. So, do you want to be Joel or Marta?
It's okay. It's okay. I can do it, Joe.
Okay.
So are you going out?
Yes, why?
Well, it's really cold and it's pretty windy.
That's okay. I have a scarf and gloves. So, was your guess correct in exercise A? Were you correct? It was cold and windy?
Uh-huh.
Okay. Well, I see that the time is getting past us.
Okay.
So I really don't want to start lesson 9 because it's a new grammar part. And I think next time we'll do 9. We'll go through, show what you know, and we will try to start that lesson 10 because you know what I said, I wanted to try to finish through lesson 10 before we end our journey this year. And I will find out what day will be our last class.
Okay.
I have been told that they have some kind of a quiz for our devotionals. And so I'm going to pick that up on Monday. So we might talk about some of the devotionals that we've had. but I'm looking, 10 is kind of long.
Mhm.
And so that may be about all we get done. I'd like to get to the health matters,
Uh-huh.
but I'm not sure that we can. If Marty does not come back,
Uh-huh.
I want you to think about what parts of the lessons we might skip
Mhm.
in order to get to the health matters, at least parts of it,
Okay.
before the end of school. I'll look and see how many classes we have left. I want you to feel comfortable. I feel like we need to cover grammar for sure.
Mhm.
But if you know the vocabulary, we may spend less time on that.
Mhm.
Because if you know the words, there's not, so you can kind of look ahead and see, you know, how much of the vocabulary you're familiar with,
Mhm.
and maybe just kind of try to cover some of the grammar and things. Marty needs to go over all the vocabulary. His vocabulary is not as extensive as yours.
Mhm.
And it helps him, you know, if we go over it. But with the weather being better, and I'm sure he's back at work and probably working later, you know, he may not be able to make class.
Mhm. Yeah.
But I think we've covered a lot tonight. And you can look in your workbook
Uh-huh.
and do the corresponding sections. So you will need to do
Uh-huh.
up through page 107.
107. Okay. Okay.
You might be able to do part of 108, but you may not be able to do it all because it says using a and an.
Okay.
We may have to go over that next week. So yes, I would like to get into lesson 10 and do as much of that as we can. I'd like to get started at least on the health issues so that our vocabulary, because there will be quite a bit of vocabulary in lesson 11. So have a good week. I know tomorrow morning is going to be very cold when you have to get up and go out and start your vehicle.
Yeah.
And be sure and dress warmly. Have a good weekend. Have a good Easter. I know the children will have one. I'm sure you've already seen to it that they are well prepared for Easter.
Thank you so much. Thank you. You have a good day.
We'll see you next week.
Okay. Thank you so much, Miss Caroline.
Thank you.
Yeah, have a good night. Thank you.
You too.
Okay.